Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. This is Moyna Bass Fishes. I am Jim Moyna, professional bass fisherman. In this video, we're going to talk about the final day of practice and the wrap up from practice of the 2024 Bassmaster Open at Lake St. Clair, Michigan. All right, so we get 4.5 days of practice. Today is a half day. We have to be off the water at noon. A lot of guys didn't even go out, I don't think, today. Some of us did, some didn't. And the reason why is because we had a weather system come through. It was really windy, we had rain, and it just made for, on a big lake like Lake St. Clair, it just makes for difficult time out there trying to scout the lake, trying to learn what you can. I didn't really learn a whole lot. I found a massive school of walleye, so I learned that. But why couldn't it be a massive school of smallmouth? I've got like 3 giant schools of walleyes located out here on this fishery, and the smallmouths aren't schooled up. The smallies I'm catching, if there's like 6 in one little group, that's a good number. So, but I'm talking these walleye schools are just, one of them was probably like, the smallest one was probably like 30 to 40 fish. Yeah. And then this other one I found today was, there was so many there. At least 50. And then the other day, actually, about the first day of practice, I found a school of walleyes that was, those fish kind of occupied a bigger area, and I bet there had to be at least 100, but they weren't all like wadded together like these other 2 schools were. It was more spread out in an area, but there was just numbers of walleyes in that area, numbers and numbers. And how do I know they're walleyes? It's because I've gotten used to seeing what they look like on my Lowrance active target. Back home where I'm from in Minnesota, I've had a chance to use the active target on lakes that have a lot of walleyes. So I've gotten used to seeing what they look like, and out here they're no different. The way they set, it's not so much the way each individual mark looks, because the way the mark looks itself is similar to a bass, whether it's a largemouth or smallmouth. It's more on how collectively they position themselves, and that seems to be a common denominator, whether it's here at Lake St. Clair, Leech Lake in Minnesota, the Whitefish Chain in Minnesota, or other lakes with walleyes in Minnesota where I've seen them. They just, and they tend to, a lot of them tend to like sit off the bottom more or farther than a smallmouth, and they'll all be off the bottom at a similar level. It's not like you'll have, one up here, one here, one there, sporadically. It's like they all like are at the same level, or most of them. There's a little variance, but not a whole lot. But they like to sit off the bottom. So it's their formation. That's how I can tell they're not small. It's just the way they form, the way they line up and orient towards one another. That's a giveaway. And after you've seen enough of it, you kind of get an eye for it. The other thing is the behavior then. When you throw your bait of course I'm going to throw my bait at them, because you never know for sure. So I throw my bait at them, and then just watching their behavior and their reaction to the bait, that's another giveaway. Because with walleyes, if you got 10 walleyes there, 1 or 2 of them might take an interest in the bait. And if it's like midday, high sun, they'll be really lazy and lethargic, and they're in no hurry to get over to your bait to look at it. and they might follow it towards the boat a little bit if I'm winding it to the boat. They might follow it slowly, lethargically for a little bit, and then they just fade off. Um, and meanwhile, the other, that's just like 1 or 2 out of 10 fish. The other fish don't give a rat's ass about it at all. They just, it's like that my lure's not even there. They could care less. So that behavior is kind of giveaway. Now compare that to like smallmouth, for example. You throw a bait into a school of 10 smallmouths, there's going to be 10 fish racing to that bait to look at it, and one of them's probably going to bite it. So, I mean, that's just, you throw the bait to the smallmouths and they just all just go, whew, whereas the walleyes just like this. So now if it's just one smallmouth you cast to, you might get this sort of a thing from one smallmouth. But the more smallmouth in an area, the more competitive they are, and the more they're gonna just go to the bait. One really active smallmouth will go right to the bait quickly. And even a walleye, though, I've seen, I have, like the lake I live on, there's kind of a marginal walleye population and a marginal smallmouth population. But I don't see the big groupings of walleyes on the lake I live on. So when I'm casting at a mark on my active target, I might be casting at just one mark. So I don't know if I'm casting towards a smallmouth or a walleye. And when the walleyes are hot, like let's say right at sundown, they get a little more aggressive. Because I've actually thrown a jerk bait out there and start jerking it, and all of a sudden this mark detects it, and it just skyrockets right for it and cracks that jerk bait. And I'm totally expecting a smallmouth, and up comes a walleye. So that there are exceptions, I guess is my point there. You can have a walleye act like a smallmouth, but when I have a collective bunch in a certain formation, all behaving, or not all, but just not caring at all about my bait, then that's a good chance those are walleye. So what does that have to do with practice today? Well, that's, I ran across 2 good schools of walleyes today. I did catch a couple walleyes too, like about 17-inch walleyes. And I know how busy my days are at these tournaments. I just don't take time to clean fish normally. So those walleyes got a little education, and now next time they see a bait with a hook, they can ignore it. Excuse me. So I found walleye. I never caught a bass today. I did not catch one single bass. Not one. Not a largemouth, not a smallmouth. I almost went largemouth fishing because it was so windy. My goal, what I wanted to do today was I wanted to get out way offshore and try some deeper water, and which means I'm way out in the lake. And that was not freaking playing with the wind. I even lined up the wind. The wind was kind of the northeast this morning, and I even tried to play with, get to the, less calm part of the lake, but I still was like 4 miles offshore or whatever, and just getting rocked hard by the waves. I mean, just rocked really hard. So that I didn't learn anything about. I didn't learn anything about bass today, other than where maybe not to go. I did get in close to shore, and I did see I'm pretty sure it was a bass. There's a little clump of weeds on a high spot, and I saw Mark sitting just above it, about 1 or 2 feet above that little weed clump, and which is often a good it was the right size mark, and I was kind of thinking that could be a smallmouth, and I throw my bait over there, and he rises up to it, and then he follows it down to the bottom and never bit. Probably a smallmouth. So out of the freaking million smallmouth out here, I think I maybe ran into one. Maybe. All right. So what else about today or the week? All right. So after my practice, here's my prediction. I've got a 50% chance of finishing this tournament. It's a 2-day tournament for except for the top 10 fish all 3 days. So if you make it to day 3, you're just 10 guys. But for the majority of the field, you got Thursday and Friday. So that's 10 fish, 5 fish each day. So my prediction is I got a 50% chance of finishing with more than 32 pounds. I also got a 50% chance of weighing less than 32 pounds. And that's not very good for this lake. I wish I could set the mark higher than that, but based on the fact I only caught 3 4-pounders in practice, and most of the fish I'm catching are 2 to 3 pounders, that seems like a reasonable guess. And 32 pounds is probably not going to get paid in this tournament, so that's a bummer. What will get paid in this tournament, I really don't know. It could be 17 and a half. It could be 35 pounds, 36 pounds. It's I don't know. I really don't know. I just got to drop some 4-pounders in a live well. That's all. That's what I know. How that's going to happen, I'm not sure. It wouldn't hurt for me to just freaking move into new areas. Maybe go right to where I know there's some fish, or where there were fish in practice, and maybe put some of those fish in the boat, and then assess where I'm at once I've caught maybe 7 or 8 fish and called up to like a 15-16 pound limit, and then maybe just go wander into some new areas. And it wouldn't hurt to do that. This lake, these fish wander around. The structure is so flat out here, you just have to randomly run into these fish, kind of. So, and you don't know. It's not like you're following a contour line out here. You just freaking randomly fish in these weed flats, and hoping you come across the right combination of weeds and whatever sand or bottom substrates around that, and bait. Maybe throw some yellow perch in that area, and maybe you got something, or maybe you don't, because I've seen a lot of that kind of scenario with nothing. But sometimes you see the smallmouth in that scenario. Anyways, I got about 10 rods rigged up. Don't know which one's going to be the main player tomorrow. Probably a drop shot. We'll see. There's going to be some wind, but it's going to let up towards the end of the day, but not completely. So probably can just leave the topwater rod in the box. Haven't had a lot of topwater action anyways, just a little bit. So it's going to be drop shots, Ned rigs, swim baits, jerk baits, that kind of thing. And it's all trying to put the right combination together so that they hit it instead of following it. These fish, like, I don't know, active target's nice because you can see what's going on, but then it gets you really frustrated when you realize the number of fish that are actually in an area and the number of fish that swim over to your bait and don't bite it. That's sometimes, I mean, it might be I'm not turning off my active target, but as I was going to say, it might be better just to not even use it, but that's not true. Not for tournaments anyways. So, oh my gosh, what else? I'm sitting in 27th in the points for the end of the year. We got 4 tournaments left. I probably got to have 2 top 10s and 2 money finishes to have a chance at making it up to the top 9 in the Angler of the Year points. So in the Angler of the Year points, so I can advance to the 2025 Elite Tour. Boy, I'm gonna have to pull something out of my head out here. That's for sure. I did last tournament, pulled out a huge catch there one day, and gonna have to pull out some big ones out here. Not sure how it's gonna happen. Not sure where it's gonna happen, but something's got to happen. And if it doesn't, well, that's, you know, it's just the way it goes, I guess, which sucks. But we're doing everything we can to put the odds in our favor. So, all right, well, this video's gone on long enough. Or actually, I've gone on long enough. The video just goes along with me. So thanks for watching, and hopefully I got a good report tomorrow with a monster catch. Over.